Good evening, everyone. I think that we are ready to roll here. If you will, Dr. Mertz.
Is Tyler going to actually begin the program?
Yeah. I was waiting for some people to pour in. Sorry about that, guys. I was just waiting. I see a lot of names pouring in.
No
So yeah, I just
problem.
want to welcome. Yeah, I just wanted to welcome everyone. I'm Tyler Sims. I'm work here at ChiroTouch, and I obviously want to welcome you to tonight's training webinar featuring Dr. CJ Mertz. Before I introduce him, look into the chat box, and you should see a link that we've put in there that you can actually send to a friend of yours so they can join us tonight. Obviously, they don't want to miss this. Dr. Mertz has built his cash-driven, subluxation-based lifetime family wellness practice to over 1,200 visits per week. That's when chiropractors start visiting his practice every day from all over the world. This led him to begin his coaching program, which has now trained over 16,000 teams in 20 different countries and spoken in 12 different languages. So tonight you're going to learn a little bit about professional selling from anywhere to anyone. And these are obviously some of the keys which led to record-breaking growth for several hundred practices in the last 24 months. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. CJ Mertz. Doc, take it away.
Fantastic. Tyler, Bonnie, thank you so much on behalf of the ChiroTouch community. It is such a privilege to be with all of you tonight, and I can see how many docs are coming onto the line. It's just so exciting to have the chance to train and speak with so many of you. And I do agree, if you can just pull into your chat box for a moment and shoot that email out to a friend of yours, a colleague, they are not going to want to miss this, and just kind of, hey, jump on right now, send that to somebody. They'll thank you 10 times over. I promise you that. It is true that I've been coaching for 3 decades now. I've had the blessing of traveling all over the world, coaching chiropractors in so many different countries and languages. But what's interesting today, this particular topic is so interesting, and I'm hoping you have a journal. I'm hoping you're going to take some copious notes, whether you're somebody that actually is a fairly tuned speaker, or maybe you're somebody that, like me, as I started my professional speaking career, if you will, I was so nervous I couldn't even eat. I would pass out or be nearly passed out even thinking about getting in front of a group of people. So from that side all the way to those of you that are somewhat polished, you're going to learn so much tonight. About 15 years ago, I decided to begin something. Most of you know I am one of the top 10 most sought after speakers in the world for chiropractic, and it's been that way for just over 25 years now. And so about 15 years ago, I wanted to start what's called Speakers Academy. And so you're going to get session 1, if you will, from Speakers Academy tonight. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be mind-blowing. I'm going to go out on a limb and just tell you this may be one of the most important trainings in terms of how do you actually connect with people that may not currently be patients of yours and interest them to sign up right now. So this Speakers Academy gives you a chance then to consider how you would use this not only inside your practice, but also outside your practice. As the title says, professional selling from anywhere, right, to anyone. COVID was an interesting glitch on the graph because prior to COVID, my clients all over the world were simply going to boardrooms, right? They were going to restaurants. They were doing professional speaking inside their practice. They were going to businesses, schools, and churches, various places where they would actually do talks. And those talks might be to as little as 5, 6, 7 people to 50 to 100 people. And they would be doing at least one of these a month. And this became such a solid piece of their new patient marketing. They were booked this week and building next week. I mean, creating a waiting list out of the Speakers Academy was one of our goals, and we absolutely did it. Now, when COVID hit, like literally the world shut down, as you know, and the idea of speaking in front of groups became almost zero possibility. But that's when Zoom became very popular. If you didn't know about Zoom, then you certainly did by shortly after. And the most entrepreneur chiropractors said, I don't want to stop speaking. I just can't physically be in front of a crowd Can you show me what else? And of course, tonight, I just want you to understand what I'm going to teach you is not only how to do this in front of a live crowd face to face. This is what you're going to be able to do with an online crowd, an online audience, right? And so many of my clients are just doing brilliant work, doing virtual presentations using the same strategies I'm teaching you tonight. I want to also just very early on, I want to give you my email. It's simply my name, cj@cjmertz.com. I want to find out what you're doing in your marketing program. I want to find out, are you speaking or not speaking, and how I can dramatically help improve that for the fourth quarter of 2023, and then on into just an amazing opportunity through the entire year of 2024. I want to be able to show you where can you set up these presentations. I want to fill your dance card so that you can see how you can make this happen, whether you have no formal training or a lot of formal training. I also want to speak to you about your conversion process, right? It's one thing to sign people up. It's another thing to actually take them through a very highly predictable conversion process. Day one report of findings, and I'd love to get under the hood with you and talk more about that. We can do that privately. We can do it one-on-one, cj@cjmertz.com. So tonight we start with know your audience. What do you do before your talk? And I just want you to understand what you do before your talk is as important as the talk itself. And I didn't know that. I did not know that. And so every mistake that you could make, I've already made. And I want you to know that I've poured 10,000 hours into this, and the hundreds and hundreds of events that I have done, tens of thousands of events that my clients have done. So what I'm going to teach you tonight isn't hypothetical. This is not like some type of experiment. This is what works every single time. And so again, I'm going to get in the weeds a little bit. I want to get so tactical that when you leave this 30, 45 minutes from now, you're going to go, man, I learned more about this than I have maybe in the last 5, 10 years, to the point where I feel like I could get this done. I really feel I could get this over the goal. So the first thing I want you to understand is that you should have a list of the people, names that are going to be attending, whether you're out at a business or whether people are coming to your office. I'll describe some of those promotional pieces a little bit later, but you should know who's showing up. If you have patients that are showing up, that's also awesome. But you want to make sure you have name tags. And the first thing I want you to understand is that when you have name tags, it's something you can't really value enough. And I didn't early on. But what that tells the people coming in is that you knew they were coming. You expected them to come. And it's a way of welcoming people and having them feel valued, that I did something that was just for you. And their name tag's already ready to go. I can't even begin to tell you how different that is from not having name tags. I would also suggest that you have 2 different color name tags. So if you have patients showing up, that's in one color, and anyone else that's a guest or a candidate, that'd be another color. So you and your team could easily see who's who. I also want you to know that it's really wonderful to have, for example, a bottle of water, for example, and that's, again, courteous, and you're creating this warm environment where signups, I can't begin to tell you the level of signup that happens just from doing this. Your signup rate goes up another 7% just doing what I'm talking about. Many of my clients have a clipboard that's underneath the chair. It's got a pen connected to it, and there's actually notes that they can follow along with perhaps a PowerPoint that you have. So I love the idea of fill in the blank. So it causes them to kind of interact with you. You don't have to have those notes, but I've noticed those notes are of great value. There is a form that I'm going to talk about soon, and that form is going to be at the very top of this clipboard, whether you have notes or not. When you have those name tags, what we've also noticed is how easy it is for somebody to simply start talking to somebody else, connecting with somebody else. And anytime that you have an audience of people that are just starting to meet and greet, and maybe your team is also facilitating that. So now it's John, this is Sue, and Sue, this is John. I'm so glad you could make it, so forth and so on. There's this living room style feel. Like we have now just kind of broken the ice, if you will. And this is before word 1 that you have said. So what you do before the talk is as important as the talk itself. This actually goes to that stress survey that I was just referring to. This is maybe a form you've seen something like this. I want you to be able to feel like you can use this form, and you notice that it gets the individual contact, name, email, cell phone, but what's very important is that middle area where you check off a box: low back pain, neck pain, fatigue, dizziness, etc. 1 box, 2 box, 3 boxes, 4 boxes. Why is that so important? And why is that so important before you start talking, right? So again, your CAs are actually welcoming people in. They're getting their name tag. They're getting a bottle of water, and your CA is saying, and by the way, Dr. Mertz is going to be starting in just a few minutes. What he, not what your CA, I'm going to use Sandy's name as your CA the rest of this training. She's not going to say, I want you. She's going to say, he or Dr. Mertz wants you to fill out that stress survey before he starts speaking, so that it will actually help him better know how to serve you. So you've got 90+% of the people in your room, they've already completed this stress survey before you start speaking. Why is that so important? Well, I don't have enough time to even tell you how important that is, other than to tell you one major thing it does is it brings your audience one by one back into their body. What I mean by that is the person who does get dizziness, maybe they're not dizzy right now, but they do get dizzy, or somebody that has fatigue and maybe they don't have it right now, or neck pain, or any one of a number of things they check the boxes on. They had a busy day, right? Here it is, maybe 6:30 in the evening. It could be a lunchtime, but whenever this group is coming together, you're checking off these boxes. It's bringing them back into their body going, gosh, yeah, oh my gosh, I struggle with this. Oh, I have that at least 3 times a week. This is what happens almost every night. And all of a sudden, it's very clear to them, this is exactly what's happening with me. When you can do that, listen carefully, you have an audience of people that you're speaking to individually, one at a time. I want you to think about the last time that you were in a presentation, and it might have been, 20, 50 people in a room, maybe 100, 300 people. It could have been at church. It could have been a professional seminar. But what you noticed was, what you felt anyhow was, oh my gosh, he or she, whoever's the speaker, is speaking right to me. Like somehow they just knew what seat I'm in, and that what they just said, that was me. That was for me. That was about me, right? Say yes if you've ever had that before. I know we all have. How do you create that as a professional speaker? Please understand, I'm telling you that you must create that. I'm not suggesting that's a good idea. I'm not suggesting that's lucky. I'm not suggesting that's only for the greatest speakers of all time. Get a name tag, a bottle of water, have people mingle just a little bit, have them fill out that stress survey so they can get back in their body. And I'm telling you, when you start speaking, people individually will feel he or she is speaking directly to me. So I want you to be taking careful note, maybe even scoring yourself, or just giving like a check mark, like, yes, I do this, or don't, no, I know I don't. Maybe I used to do that, but I haven't done it again. I'm giving you the best of what is happening all over the country, all over the world, the best speaking results ever. So that stress survey is non-negotiable. And so now what happens is you're building credibility. If you look at Fortune 500 companies, and in specific Fortune 100 companies, what you're going to notice is this. At no time is a presenter ever going up to the microphone, if you will, first. There's always somebody who's introducing them, and how they introduce you and what they say is as important as the talk. Well, you just heard a few minutes ago that how people even get into your office, like what you do just to even connect with them, i.e. the name tag, right? And the bottle of water and the mingling. It's as important as the talk itself. Fortune 100 company presenters, CEOs, corporate leaders, they're never going to just start speaking. They're going to have somebody introduce them, much like Tyler just introduced me. I'm not going to be somebody that's actually just going to start speaking anywhere I am. Somebody's going to come up and give a presentation introduction. So whether that's actually your sister, your spouse, maybe a CA, I want you to be thinking about somebody you love, somebody that you know can actually speak well in front of a group of people, and somebody that would be available and would be wanting to do that. It may not be the same person. It could be a rotating person that does this based on whether it's afternoon or evening or what have you, right? But I want you to start really thinking about who is going to introduce you. That's your workshop. That's any outside talk, anywhere you're speaking, anywhere to any group, you're being introduced. Ask yourself, how often does that happen now? Now, you're not going to do this in this moment, but I'm suggesting maybe later this evening, maybe over the next day or two, I want you to make a note right now that I want you to create your introduction. Now, I got to tell you, chiropractors are some of the most humble people I have ever met. And so things that you probably don't really think much about is your accomplishments, your achievements, your awards, right? There's really significant things that you've accomplished. And I just want to give you a pat on the back right now and tell you that you're an amazing chiropractor. And it doesn't matter right now whether you're serving 50 people a week or 500 a week. There's some really cool things that have happened. Maybe most people don't know about it. Maybe they've not heard about it. But when that comes into an introduction, which is never more than 90 seconds long, I'm telling you, that introduction is so significant that my research shows that it increases your sign-up rate by 11%, just having somebody introduce you. And so I'll give you an example of one tonight, one that has been used by my team, and it gives you an example of what would that sound like, and then how could you have maybe a template, for example, that you could build yours off of. Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm one of Dr. Mertz's chiropractic assistants. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Mertz to you tonight. Dr. Mertz has served over 10,000 patients in our community over this last 25 years. He's been awarded Chiropractor of the Year 3 times in our community. Dr. Mertz was written up in the Austin Statesman, an article about his amazing practice and the results that he achieves. He was interviewed on Channel 7 right after the mayor did the ribbon cutting ceremony to open this practice. Dr. Mertz has been invited to speak in dozens of companies, businesses, organizations, sports teams, schools, and churches because of his impeccable reputation and the incredible results that he gets with his patients in this practice. I want you to know that there is one evaluation that happens in this practice that you'll learn about tonight that can identify the cause of sickness, illness, or disease that either you or someone you love has been struggling with for months or years. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Dr. C.J. Mertz. Now, what do you think happens after somebody who's introducing you says, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome, and they mention your name? That's right. So I want you to know, in a live face-to-face, obviously, it's going to be a little bit different than online, but it has the same feeling as if there was a round of applause. You want to have that built-in credibility. Ask yourself, how long did it take for me to do that introduction? Some of you may have been timing it, right? It was less than 45 seconds. And yet what that did is it moved people from sort of sitting in the back of their chair with maybe their arms folded, and just, certainly happy to be there, but their interest level was here. And then after the introduction, their interest level, they're now sitting up on their chair. They're not on their heels, they're on the balls of their toes, and they are so excited for you to come up and say what you're going to say. Notice everything I've said so far is before you utter word one. So I want you to just take a moment out right now and think about what I've just taught you. And what about what I've taught you is part of what you do? And what about what I've taught you isn't? There's another group of people that are on this line, chiros, that you haven't spoken in months. And if you're being honest, it may be years. I just want to remind you, doctor means teacher. And so if you're not speaking, I need you to activate that habit. And again, cj@cjmertz.com. Let me show you how quickly you can get onto this circuit. Let me show you how quickly you can get your PowerPoints together, and you can get the places you're going to speak, and you can train up your CAs to make sure that they're signing up people right there. And you're going to learn about that tonight as well. If you have somebody that's on your team that's listening tonight, that's fantastic. And if not, take some notes for them, because they'll know what their job is too. So everyone should be speaking. Every chiropractor should be spreading the word. In my experience, I can't tell you how fast that helped my practice go from a struggling 100 patient visits a week to then within 6 months, 100 patients a day. And 8 months later, we're now seeing 100 people in the morning and 100 people in the afternoon. Trust me when I tell you, that was so far beyond any goal that I had set. What I realized was, if I continue to just share chiropractic, if I continue to introduce people to what you and I do, there's a pretty good chance they're going to want to at least come in, visit our office, get a checkup, and see if in fact they're eligible for this care. Do they need this care? Would this care actually work for the condition they have, right? There's just a lot of unanswered questions. The very first thing is, I just need you in my practice. So notice as we move forward that the person who introduced me mentioned about the one evaluation. Let's build on that. So I've been introduced, and maybe, just maybe, out of a ton of fun, notice this person that's on the screen right now, and notice what's next to her face. You had me at hello. This is from Jerry Maguire, and you might remember Tom Cruise, kind of crashing into her place. There's a bunch of women there meeting, and he's just desperately trying to win his wife back, and he's just telling her how much she means to him and how much he's missed her, and she just has to stand up and go, just shut up. You had me at hello, and I want you to have fun with this, but at the same time, that's how big that introduction is. You have this audience now at hello because of what they said about you, and that a third party said it about you. Please do not underestimate the power of you being introduced. There are 3 parts that I'm going to teach you tonight. They are the pre-close, the mid-close of your talk, and what's called the end close. Now, Toastmasters did something tremendous for you and I, tremendous for the chiropractic profession. About 85 years ago, by the way, they've been teaching this all over the world. But if you remember sort of the jingle of Toastmasters, what they say is, first, tell people what you're going to tell them. And then second, tell them. And then third, tell them what you just told them. So when you hear about pre-close, mid-close, and end close, we're following, if you will, this wonderful platform that was built by Toastmasters, but we're doing it from a professional selling standpoint, and this will be very clear to you. Look what's on your screen right now, and notice sort of the first words that are coming out of your mouth, short of actually thanking whoever just introduced you, and being able to say to your audience of 5 or 50 or 500, that my purpose tonight, through discussing neurological disorders, for example, or whatever that topic is, it might be about gut health, or it might be about mental health, or whatever it may be, is to explain to each of you the value of a specific spine and nerve system evaluation we do here in this office, which has led to tremendous success with patients suffering from. And you fill in what it is that you want to say about that. And it might be chronic diseases, and it might be various things as headache and weakness and fatigue and more, right? Stop. Notice in the first 30 seconds what you highlighted, a specific spine and nerve system evaluation. Do you understand? This is now the second time that your audience has heard about this evaluation. Why is that so important? So you probably know that with all the chiropractors that I have trained, there is a common trend of mistakes. And one of those mistakes that we're talking about in professional speaking right now is to do a good talk. And maybe you've done this before. I know I have, where it's a 30-minute presentation, let's say, and you've got your PowerPoint set up and you've really studied it, right? So in your mind, you feel like you've done a good job. I felt really focused. I was energized. I felt passionate. You know, I felt like I was connecting to the audience. There was a lot of good things that you could say, but here's the truth. 28 minutes later, as you're talking about very important things about the body, how it gets sick, how it gets well, not once have you mentioned to the audience the opportunity that exists tonight. And so 28 minutes out of 30 minutes, they didn't know. And then right at the end of your presentation, it sounds something like, so I wanted you to know about this opportunity to get your spine and nerve system checked. And while that's normally $250 in our office, because you've come here tonight, you're gonna all be able to sign up for this amazing evaluation for just $25 or $39 or $49, you know, just some special price. And you gave them a minute and a half, you know, of the 30 minutes to be thinking about that when they've already been thinking about getting in their car. They've already been thinking about, maybe I need to go home and feed my kids. Like there's already an exit thought. Even though they enjoyed your presentation, you didn't anchor the value and the urgency of getting that checkup. See, what I want you to know tonight is that not only with your current patients, and what I'm going to talk about, this is huge for your current patients in a workshop, but you can have guests be coming to your workshop, friends, family members, coworkers, neighbors of your patients coming to the workshop. It would run just like I'm teaching you. You could also take this on the road and get out into your community and start speaking and doing exactly what I'm talking about. So notice that this presentation, if in the first couple minutes, based on your introduction and based on your pre-close, now they're thinking about this evaluation. Why is that so important? Everything you say after this is in their minds. They're thinking, oh gosh, I need that checkup. Oh my gosh, you know, my wife needs that. Oh, I need to get that for my son. All of a sudden, the checkup is now part of the conversation to them. They're thinking, man, I can't wait. Gosh, as soon as he's done, as soon as she's done speaking, I got to get that checkup, as opposed to they didn't even know about the checkup for 28 minutes, right? Say yes if you get that, right? So pre-close, I can't even begin to tell you how game changer that is. And 90% of chiropractors do not even know what I just taught you, which is why their results are really hit and miss. So now you're going through your presentation and we're doing what's now called a mid-close. Notice tonight, I'm not really getting into the detail of your presentation skills. That'll be another session I'll do. I'm actually talking about the selling part through your presentation. So I'm making a big assumption right now, and that is that you have the right content and you're delivering that content correctly. So I'm going to stay strong with that. So by the time you get to the middle, let's say it's a 30-minute presentation. They should never be more than 30. So between 20 and 30 minutes, you want to look at about midway, and you don't have to be that critical. So let's say, you know, if you're doing a 20-minute presentation, you know, somewhere around the 8, 9, 10, 11-minute mark, right? So it's somewhere in the middle, you're going to do this, and it's called the mid-close. Now, those of you that are taking notes, please write the phrase circle back. So we already had our pre-close talking about this evaluation. Now what we want to do is, several minutes have gone by talking about your principles, talking about how the body gets sick, talking about the nerve system and how it controls function and the spine and so forth and so on. There's some really great foundation that you've been laying down. We need to circle back to what's the main thing. The main thing is getting them signed up tonight. And you got to be really clear. That's why we're doing this presentation, is so that everyone gets signed up in your schedule book. Did you know that the greatest patient education that has ever happened in the history of chiropractic is your day one? So as much as they will learn from you for sure in this presentation, there is nothing they could learn more intimate, more private, more meaningful than coming into your office. Would you agree? And they wind up actually getting their posture checked and their range of motion and digital palpation and leg check and scans. Come on, say yes if you get what I'm saying. Like they're learning at warp speed about what chiropractic is, and specifically what's off in their spine and nerve system. They could not have known that unless they came in for a checkup. So I want you to put a new thought in your mind right now, that your day one is the most powerful patient education on earth. And so this presentation that I'm doing is actually leading you to a whole new level of patient education. And that's day one. So we're going to use a specific slide. So what I'm saying is, before you even do the presentation, you know where your circle back is, right? That's how we plan and prepare to be a professional speaker and being able to sell professionally. I'm not saying there's one slide that is the one you should use. I'm saying a slide, but I know what it is. Give you an example. You don't have to use this, but I'm giving you an example. So about midway through my presentation, here's a slide that comes up, right? And I'm saying to the audience, now listen, if your car's out of alignment, and as a result, your tires are wearing down faster, uneven, and causing mechanical problems, would you just keep replacing the tires, or would you fix the alignment? Of course, a great speaker would shut up and they would wait for an answer, right? And what do you suppose the majority answer would be? It's, listen, what a professional speaker also knows is you don't ask an audience a question that you don't already know the answer is going to come back, right? And so with a resounding, well, you'd fix the alignment issue, right? And that's what you're hearing back again and again, right? So we got some great interaction going on, and I already know this is the slide, right? I knew beforehand this was the slide that I'm going to do my circle back on. And so here we are in the mid-close, and listen to this. So friends, this is why it's so important to have your spine and nerve system specifically examined to determine your best course of action. Notice I wasn't trying to close them right then, right? Which is, okay, I want you to go up to the front desk. I want you to, pay $25, and I want you to schedule. That's not what's happening. This mid-close is, I'm circling back to what I said in the opening, and that was that there's one specific evaluation for your spine and nerve system that'll change your life. And I've circled back. I want you to know 90% of chiropractors do not have a circle back. They did not have a pre-close, and they don't have a mid-close, but they do have, for example, a PowerPoint, or they do have a presentation. And what they're wondering, because I have been in this conversation dozens and dozens of times, every month, and that is, Coach, I just did a presentation 2 nights ago, and I thought I did a great job, and I'm so frustrated, right? And my team's so frustrated. There were like 26 people that were there, and like 2 people signed up. They're about ready to pull their hair out. They're like, I just don't get it. I mean, I did so much better of a job than that, and they're really, I could feel the frustration. I've been there. So I started asking them some questions about their presentation. And 4 or 5 minutes later, I'm like, so are you telling me that you didn't have anybody introduce you? And they're like, should I have had that? Did they have name tags? No. So did you mention your checkup at the beginning? No. And so as I'm walking through what I'm teaching you right now, it's just like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3. It was a really good presentation. But watch this. Listen, it wasn't a professional selling platform. They did not do that to procure high levels. I want you to know, I went from struggling to have 50% of an audience sign up that night to where I never, ever have less than 75% of an audience sign up right then. And it's not because I'm CJ Mertz, it's because I'm using this strategy. And I'll tell you, I have opened, built, and sold 18 of my own practices. And I say that to you for a reason. These are run by other docs, right? And so these docs are using what I'm teaching you, and they're getting the same results I was getting. So this really isn't about one person. It was about, well, I just had to teach them the process. And then they studied it, and they trained it, and they role played on it, and they videotaped it, and they role played with their team, and then they took it on the road. And as I said, we can fill up your dance card pretty quickly in terms of you have literally sold out in terms of where you're speaking. You're going to love it. You're going to love it if you just simply embrace this tonight. So do you get the importance of circle back? Because just in case they might have just lost that idea of that checkup, now right here, midway in your presentation, that's why it's just so important for you to have your spine and nerve system specifically examined to determine your best course of action. Maybe you're out of alignment, right? Maybe your tires are wearing unevenly. That was just the metaphor I gave a moment ago, right? Let's get that checked. And they're like, oh my gosh, I just need to do that. And all of a sudden, I've gotten back into the checkup mentality. I want to take a moment right now and just acknowledge ChiroTouch, because there's 3 groups of people that are in this presentation tonight, 3 groups of docs. one, are Chiro Cloud users, right? And I'm just going to applaud you. I mean, you're using the best technology on planet Earth right now. Those of you that don't know what Chiro Cloud technology is, I would suggest right now that you just raise your hand. Just go ahead and press that button, raise your hand, and a sales agent is going to be right there to just simply reach out and answer some questions you have. Maybe actually set up a demo for you. There's others of you that are using the installed version and you're still using a server, right? And you want to definitely get to understand what's the cloud version of this? What's the difference? Oh, just raise your hand. I'm gonna tell you right now, what you're gonna learn is gonna blow your mind. And there's definitely a group of you that are listening to me right now. You're using somebody else's software. And I'm just gonna tell you, take it for a test drive. Just compare it. If you wind up getting a demo, just raise your hand and somebody's gonna actually schedule a demo. I would love to have you see the whistles and bells and compare it apples to apples, what it costs relative to what you're doing, the speed of it. What I've noticed is that it's so fast and easy with your SOAP notes and what it does to, for your electronic claims, for example, life cycle management, the practice analytics. There is so much to this. Remember that form that I was just showing you a few minutes ago, and it was the stress survey? To be able to actually take that and put it right into a new patient file, it is so quick to be able to get x-rays and scans into your file. Everything works fast, smooth, and seamless. And so I'm just going to say, if you are a Chiro Cloud user, but maybe you're trying to figure out, gosh, there's a few pieces of this that I'm not using yet. Oh, I would raise your hand for sure. And I'd make sure that you could actually go through a little bit of IT training that would just help you and your CA even that much more. So go ahead, just raise your hand right now. It'll be so simple. Just press that button and then someone will actually reach out to you very quickly. I'm telling you that right now. And they're here to just show you what it is that they're all about. So we just went through that midway, right? So now you finished your PowerPoint presentation, and this is the next kind of like skull cracking moment. You do not want to be the person who gives a presentation and how the audience knows that you're done is you're done talking. Thank you so much. And everyone's like, okay, I think he must be done. Like, no. What you want to be able to do is actually give people a buffer. It's called a segue. Specifically, it's called segue. And you can see the words. There's probably no better words that are on your screen right now, is for you to say, so in conclusion. It's another way of being able to say, so I'm gonna wrap this up. We're gonna get done here in just a couple of minutes. And so let me actually finish strong with you. It's kind of like that 4th of July, and you've got that grand finale at the end. It's like, it's the strongest at the end. That's what you need right here. And we're gonna address it. So in conclusion, as we come to a finish tonight, right? Those are the ways that you say your segue. This now begins the end close. Now, let me share something with you that I didn't also understand. I didn't understand really much of any of this until I did, until I wound up putting it all in place. And I want to give some people credit tonight. I have been one of those people that's invested an enormous amount into my own training and development. Having my coaches and people that would help me in various areas of my professional development, including Tony Robbins, Mark Victor Hansen, Stephen Covey, who wrote the 7 Habits, right? These are all people I was blessed to actually sit knee to knee with, and really train at a high level, which is what you're experiencing. A compilation of that is what I'm teaching you tonight, right? And so this has been proven over and over and over and over. So I don't want you to really question anything. I just want you to take it for a test drive, right? I really want you to be able to see just how amazing this is. I was talking to one of our clients just yesterday, and he had just done a talk this last week. And he's not like this professional speaker yet. He's going to be, I can tell you that right now. But this is like his second talk, right? So he's a new client of mine, and he said, Coach, I'm just nervous, but I'll get out and start doing these talks. We've been working on his day one. We've been working on his report of findings. That's definitely improved very much in this last month and a half. So he goes, he does this talk last week. He does what I'm teaching you right now. And in his own mind, he's like, man, I just stumbled through it. It was almost like I had this checklist, and I was just going through my checklist to make sure that I did what you said in Speakers Academy Session 1, which is where you're at. I said, well, how'd it go? He said, well, I had 23 people there, and he said 18 of them signed up for new patient appointments. I just about passed out. I said, you had 18 people out of 23 go and pay and schedule for it. He goes, yeah, he goes, so how did I do? And I'm like, so yeah, that's verging on rock star. Yeah, because if you would have actually signed up even about 12 or 13, based on just how new you are, that would have been a really good result. 14, 15 would have just been, wow, that's actually strong. 18 out of 23, I said, man, you're hardly leaving yourself any room to improve, and you're going to improve wildly, over this next 6 months to a year. So this end close, here's what I need you to get. If it's not already in the room, you need to change the state of the people in the room before you give your offer. So what I'm saying to you is, you want to tell a story. Now, the story that you want to tell is going to be either your story, like for me, chiropractic saved my life as a 10-year-old, right? So as many times as I've told my story, I mean, my eyes start to tear up, and it doesn't matter how many times I've told that story, that feeling and that memory and that appreciation, it just comes through me like crazy. It might be your story about your spouse or significant other. It might be about one of your children, or a brother or a sister or a dad, right? Or maybe one of your patients. So there could and should be several different stories that you could tell. Here's what I need you to write down. It needs to elicit emotion from you. I had another client, and he came up to me just a few months ago at a seminar, and he said this, and it was really wonderful. He said in front of a group, he said, I have been following you for years. And he said, I can't tell you how many times I've been somewhere where you've been speaking, and I could tell there's not a dry eye in the house. And he said, I don't know how you do that, but I want you to teach me, because it's very obvious that you can do that. And it's also obvious that I'm not doing that. And I need to figure out, how do you do that? And so I said to him, first of all, thank you. I mean, thank you so much. What a wonderful compliment. And I said, but what I need you to understand is, it's not so much what I was doing for the audience. It's what I was doing for me. See, what I need you to understand is, I want to tell you a story. I need to actually have a story, listen carefully, that elicits my emotion. And what I've learned is that if I can lead myself into that emotion, the audience mirrors my state. So if I can get myself into that emotion, the audience follows. Maybe not everyone, but you'll be amazed, truly amazed, how far that goes. So it's not a long story. It doesn't need to be taking 10 or 15 minutes to tell the story. In fact, again, it's better for it to be a 90-second to 2-minute story. Notice, so in conclusion, right? So they know we're actually wrapping up. I want to tell you a story. And so in this story, I can't begin to tell you, it's not about what you're saying. That's number one. It's what people are feeling about what you're saying. That's number one. Say yes if you get that, right? So when you match those two together, it's a home run. So I'm not saying that you have to do everything perfect. You don't. Like my client just a couple of nights ago. He's like, I felt like I really was very mechanical. I felt like I made mistakes. I just checked off the boxes and made sure I got my pre-close and my mid-close and my end close. And I do remember saying, so in conclusion, he goes, I can't believe I remember to say that. And 18 out of 23 people. And he's just like, Coach, I want to actually do this every week. I went from somebody who really was just despising going out and speaking, and I'm still nervous. I'm still nervous about getting in front of a group, but I'm so excited to be nervous again, right? Because I know how many lives I can reach. I now know that I can only get better at this, and I know when I'm out in front of a group, I'm gonna have people signing up. That's what I want for you, right? I want this fourth quarter, I want next year to be completely different. And I don't want you resting on the laurels of, oh, I have social media, and that's where I'm getting my new patients. I can't tell you how many chiropractors tell me that for whatever reason, my conversion rates are just, they suck, right? I don't know what's going on, Coach, but with these social media patients, I'm just not really converting strong patients. And that's for another presentation, another time for you and me. And if we're going to talk one-on-one, I'll give you the answer to that. Remember CJ at cjmertz.com. Happy to tell you about that. I want you to understand that when people hear you speak, and then they go and sign up on your schedule book, and then you meet them for the second time, this is in your office now, right? And you're shaking their hand. And Jim, it's great to see you again. I know that you were at our presentation just the other night. I want to welcome you to our office. I want to thank you for coming to that presentation. Let me tell you the difference. Somebody who's heard you speak, who's now in your office, they function almost exactly like somebody who was referred by one of your best patients. So I want you to think about this for a moment. What is your conversion rate for people who've been referred by your best patients? What's your first answer to your conversion rate? And I'm sure it's pretty high. I imagine most of you said 80%, 90% or higher, right? And you should. These people, when they sign up and they come into your office, it's like that. That's why this is so worth learning this. And I know I've gone so quickly, I'm almost at a close now, and we're just gonna wrap this up, but I pray tonight that you've learned just enough to go, wow, I'm super interested, right? That I've actually got you to really kind of wet your whistle, and you're like, wow, I'm either doing talks, but I'm not even close to this, or I haven't been doing talks at all. I want to get in, right? So I'm telling this story, and that story's got to be a state changer. So tonight I want to tell you a story about Ellen. And when my team and I first met Ellen, she needed assistance coming through our front door on her walking cane. And it was so difficult that my team actually recognized that she needed assistance all the way back to our exam room. And when I met her and began talking with her, I had told her, you know, I looked at your file, which was so thick, and these were all the doctors she had seen before and all the tests that she'd done and all the different medications that she had taken, and none of it seemed to have worked at all. One of her friends had spoken to her and said, listen, Ellen, I know what other people are telling you. In fact, I know even, reading online and some of the other doctors you've seen, they've just said, look, the truth is you're just going to go from that walking cane to a wheelchair. And that's just what's going to happen, and then it's just going to go downhill from there. And her friend said, don't buy into that. I want you to go see Dr. CJ Mertz. I want you to come into his office and see what it is that he can do for you. Would you just promise me that you'll do that? That's what brought Ellen into our office. And as I was sitting there, of course, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And as I went through my consult and my examination, the same one I've been talking to you about tonight, I told her, I don't treat multiple sclerosis. I said, but what I can tell you is that if I find a cause that is such that your nerve system has been interfered and it has lowered your ability to heal, I can promise you this: you'll heal better with that interference removed than having it still there. And I asked her through the report, are you willing to take that chance? I'm willing to work with you at 100% of my focus and my intention. Are you willing to give it a try? And with tears in her eyes, she said, I believe that this is what I need to do. I'm going to do this. And she began this course of care. She committed to the entire course of care, did not miss a visit. And as a month goes by in her care, my CA, Vivian, says, as Ellen is coming in for her next visit, wow, she's still using her cane, but it's as if almost she didn't need the cane. There was almost like a little bounce in her step. And we noticed that there was like more energy. And even Ellen said, gosh, this is really something. I used to be so fatigued even before lunch, and I would just be that way all day long. I have a lot more energy. I'm sleeping well. I have more energy during the day. And she said, yes, I'm using this cane. I notice I don't have to rely on it as much. And so she continued her care, and clearly she still has multiple sclerosis, but something is happening inside her body. Another month goes by, and Vivian can't believe what she sees. Ellen is coming through our front door, and she doesn't have her cane. And she's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And she runs around the desk. Is everything okay? And she had a smile on her face saying, you know, I just want you to know for the last few days, maybe the last week, I've just been testing it and I haven't been walking around with my cane. It's in my car if I need it, but she's walking in without that cane, with a bounce in her step. And as she gets back to Vivian up to the front desk, she just looks at Vivian and says, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I didn't think there was any hope. I didn't know what else I could do. And right now, I'm telling you, I feel better than I have felt in a long, long time. And I'm going to stay absolutely committed to my care. And when she came back, she put tears in my eyes, sharing the same thing with me. And she said, you know, I had no idea that putting more nerve system energy, more nerve system power, as you say, Dr. CJ, into my body could make this much of a difference. But I have huge hope now. And she started referring friends of hers. And so I just want you to understand, tonight, you have the opportunity to take advantage of a very special offer, to get your spine and nerve system checked in the same way that Ellen did, and have it fully and properly evaluated. And a full exam with scan and x-ray is normally $250 in our practice. However, you can schedule your private and confidential evaluation because you came here tonight for just $25. And I don't want you to do it because it's just $25. I want you to do it because you now know that we can find the cause of that thing that has maybe been bothering you or somebody that you love for the last many weeks, months, or years. I'm going to stop for just a moment. How was that for you, right? I want you to kind of recognize how I went from so in conclusion to a story to now the offer. Notice I would never give the offer without the story. And so I hope tonight you're starting to get a sense of how that all flows together. Notice in this last step, which is called the call to action, you and your team would have already established A, B, or C. And there's reasons to use each of these at different times. A says circle an appointment on your survey. I want you to know that you could actually customize the survey that I just showed you at the beginning of this presentation. And this is when I'm doing talks with 50 or more people, so it's a larger audience. I'm going to actually put the days and times right at the top of the survey. So while they're sitting in their chairs, they can circle Thursday at 10 a.m. That makes it so much more effective and efficient. And so now they can bring their form up because we already told them that we're going to collect those stress surveys, you know, at the end of Dr. Mertz's presentation. It's at the top now is Thursday at 10 a.m. So they come to the front desk and there's 2 CAs there and they're very efficiently getting everyone in that presentation their specific time for that special price. And that price is only for tonight. And that's why they all take advantage of it. B is walk up to the front desk. So obviously for a group that may be smaller than that, 5, 10, 12, 15, you could just tell them, I want you to take your stress survey up and I want you to know that this special offer, right, which is the $250 for 25, is available for the next 3 days, right? So we make it very limited, this special and limited, and they have to actually schedule it tonight. That price goes away tomorrow, right? And so that's why they can go up to the front desk and they can say, gosh, I would like to have Thursday at 10 a.m. It's a 30-minute evaluation, and they know it's 30 minutes long. They're going to get their paperwork either on the way out or they're going to get it emailed to them, scanned, faxed, however you're going to do that. And C is that my team will come and assist you. I like this one. I use this one most often where there's 10, 20, 30 people in the audience, and I'm going to tell them, my team's going to go around now and find the best time for you over this next 3 days, right? So it's the same closing concept. It's just so much personal. The team is going around to each chair. And then only after that I say, and I'm sure there's some questions that are here in the audience, just raise your hand and I'll come to you and I'll answer that question. So I'm around just bouncing around answering questions while my team is signing everybody up in the room. I just want you to understand, you need to pick one of these before you get started. Wow, we've covered so much ground, and I just want you to remember what I said at the beginning. When your presentation, whether it's inside or outside your office, is all about the examination, right? That's what your introduction said. That's what your pre-close said. That's what you circled back to in the middle. That was what your end close was all about. High percentage signups is always the outcome. And that was the frustrating part for me and frustrating part for hundreds and hundreds of chiropractors I've had the blessing to coach. is just the revelation. It's unbelievable what happens when you start doing what it is that I have just said. Again, I would love to actually have the chance to do a special practice evaluation for you. There's no cost to that. This is something I'm extending to you of coming on to this wonderful ChiroTouch presentation. And Katrina is our executive director, and you can just reach out to her. Her email is success@cjmertz.com. She can get you scheduled directly for a 20 to 30 minute time to speak with me directly. The phone number's on the screen as well. I want to thank ChiroTouch. I want to thank Bonnie. I want to thank Tyler. I want to thank all that amazing team there for hosting this and putting it together. And I'm hoping and praying what happened tonight is I'm going to go for this. And I want you to just, at the very least, I want you to email me, cj@cjmertz.com, that says, hey, coach, I actually did it. I took your advice and I did. I really want to know how you go about your professional speaking from here forward. I also want to make sure you know that I would definitely like to show you how to fill up your dance card. So email me so I can show you how you can get out speaking, and it doesn't have to cost you a dime. I want you to know that marketing can be much more effective than you ever knew. So you were born to be a chiropractor, and a chiropractor is built to speak, not just adjust, not just serve, but to speak. Lean into that, and I promise you it's going to bless you 10 times over. I look forward to hearing from you. Until the next time that we're together, practice with passion. Have a wonderful night, and God bless you.